Today we're going to talk about Chapter 2 in the textbook, the past, the present, and the future, a conceptual overview. Branding became necessary as the popularity of mass fashion grew in the 20th century. Development in clothing production and media, so not only how they made the clothing, but how they tell the consumer, how they tell us about clothing, all changed to cause a very rapid diffusion through culture and through society. Fashion then started really emphasizing the value of its function and its use. There was a need for practicality, style, the fabrication, and the availability of new products really were getting consumers excited. There's a lot of examples in the book going through the historical context, but there is the Madam C.J. Walker note in the book. She was considered the Oprah of her time and is known for revolutionizing the health and beauty industry. Also, in the past, the standard of beauty and what media thought beauty was has changed. We might think of Marilyn Monroe or Madonna as being the blonde bombshell, but this actually started in the 1930s with the infamous Mae West.
I only like him like a brother. You ain't got nothing to worry about. You're a liar. Say, listen, you. A better dame than you once called me a liar, and they had to sew her up in 12 different places. You're lucky I'm a little more refined than I used to be. And if you was as much a lady as I am, you'd get out of here before I get real sore. You have a streak of decency in you. I don't show my good points to strangers.
Mae West challenged the ideals of what demure feminine was for the modern consumer. Also, Mae West is where we really start seeing the very first tinklings of the importance of celebrity endorsement within the fashion industry. Earlier in the 20th century, brands like Burberry were changing how we market fashion because they would not only show their beautiful sportswear, but they would then show in the advertisement how to wear it, how to style it, and how to use it on the golf course. This illustration of how to wear the garment became the blueprint for communicating fashion. Using visual illustrations, we can demonstrate the features and the benefits of a product. This was never seen before. As media started mediaing, and we started getting more and more advertisements, more and more influence from advertisement, we see the concept of keeping up with the Joneses. And this is definitely this idea of consumers outdoing one another, seeing what your neighbor's doing and then doing it. It really started in like automobiles and appliances, but fashion is still an extremely visual way that you can walk into a space and demonstrate that you know what's up, you know what's hip, you keep up with the Joneses. Or in this day and age, this led to the new shift that's reflected on as postmodernism. So there's going to be a whole lot of scholarly information in this space. Postmodernism is a time of stimulation. Boundaries between what is real and what is perceived as real have been conflated. This conflation blurs the lines between what an individual knows as reality and what is reality, thus causing confusion. So this confusion between what is real and obtainable versus fantasy can be called hyperreality. There is going to be tons of historical things for you to look into if you want to take your research to the next level. I will suggest that you search some historic Maidenform ads if you really want to see how ads have changed. We look at fashion scholars, we do see a discussion that we are moving away from this postmodern conditioning into something that's more aligned with alternative modernism or performative modernism or digimodernism, automodernism, hypermodernism. There really is no best theory when we are looking at the current climate of fashion and consumption, all about hyper quickness, the quantity. Consumers try to live impossibly through aspirations given to them through media and fashion companies. This is a deeply concerning trend with the limited resources on this earth, right? So instead of buying and consuming constantly, you can really focus on meaning making through individual style and how we dress ourselves and the perception that other people gain from how we dress ourselves. So what does this all mean? How does branding and consumer theories connect to this? Fashion branding's primary function is to provide a structure that uses images and language to impart meaning to retail products. So whereas an advertiser's primary goal is to sell a product, advertising often requires the marketer to make meaning for the customer. Meaning can be made in a whole slew of visual ways. It can be made through social media posts. It could be made back in the day through the radio. Another big change is the visual aspect that television created. We are used to reels where we get just a couple of seconds of scrolling, but there are designated channels like QVC or HSN that are devoted to helping the customer make the good connection with the product. They will tell you the story of how to use the product. They're going to use those selling stories to motivate a customer. It can also be noted that while everything can go ebb and flow to couture, mass culture, wherever your fashion might be situated, for the American consumer, a really good center point to look at is the example of J. Crew, as far as they speak to the mass market itself. So marketing on social media, television, radio isn't the only way to get the customer involved in the experience. Including all parts of the sensory experience can heighten that brand storytelling. There can be a spectacular song, delicious smells, beautiful visuals, soft things to feel, a full sensory immersion in the experience, that taste, smell, touch. This is how we make powerful connections with the consumer. You know the saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, that's the same in fashion too. When companies like Calvin Klein use their billboards and their messaging, their picture and their storytelling to ignite conversation or controversy, they are doing a lot more with that photo than telling you to come down to our store and buy a cute pair of pants. It should be noted, though, that the world is shifting. This change is causing consumers to make different decisions. No longer were the purchasing trends 30 years ago even relevant today. Trends 5 years ago aren't even really relevant in today's fashion industry. We should also take note that as the consumers diversify, this doesn't just mean in their preference. This can also mean culturally. The U.S. Census does say that right now in America, we're more culturally diverse than ever before. All brand messaging should be aware of what our culture is and reflective of it. An example that we see of this changing culture is the Chinese New Year. I walk into Costco now and they had this decorations for the Chinese New Year. Macy's will have decorations for the Chinese New Year. Did you know that we're in the year of the fire horse? This type of information 20 years ago was far more difficult to access, but now it's everywhere. We have more diverse consumers, we have a more diverse population, so companies are going to do what they can to get into the pockets of all of those different consumers. There's also a cultural shift around more acceptance and inclusivity within marketing and marketing communications. We do see a lot more in fashion of inclusion of more than the gender binary. We see a lot more fluidity and a lot more openness in that space. We also are seeing a lot more inclusion in size and physical abilities of our models and the images shown in the brand story. We actually have a responsibility as fashion brand managers to know what's going on in the social climate so that when we are making these brand stories and when we are putting the brand's values in front of the customer, they know exactly what this brand stands for and knows that they are timely and attuned to what is going on in the world around us.